Good evening or good morning, depending on the time that you are watching this show. My name is Brother Shane Price, and I just want to welcome you here. I know you're probably busy doing something else and you didn't really want to stop, but now that you're here, come on and sit down for just a second. I have something to share with you that I think you're going to find important and impactful. First of all, what I'd like for you to know is that you may remember my work from the March for Peace and Social Justice era in the 80s and 90s and early 2000s, or you may remember our work from the African American Men Project throughout the 2000s, and you don't realize that my wife and I have created an organization that's 10 years old now called the Power of People Personal Development and Leadership Institute. And we are a 501c3. We do three things. Want to hear them? The three things that we do is that we provide leadership and personal development, personal development and leadership for a Girls in Action program, and we're excited about that. We also do that with our boys, called the Boys of Hope program, and we're excited about that. If you're one of the Boys of Hope and you see this, we're giving you a shout out. But watch this though, we also work with some of our men who have had the experience of incarceration and who are also trying to develop themselves personally and become leaders and visionaries in the community in the 21st century. And that is what we are here to talk about today, re-entry. We call ourselves the men of out and popping. We were in, but now we're out and we are popping this thing off. And you're just in time to hear it. You're gonna meet some of the guys who are out and popping now. And before I go to them, I just wanna qualify with you because it's important for us to get your buy-in on what we are doing. I want you to hear that all of us who are here have repented for whatever crimes or things that we may have done in the past. And just in case I have a naysayer or a questioner, an inquisitioner who doesn't understand that we're on the other side of that, I just want to clarify, we're not trying to overlook you, nor are we trying to overlook the fact that we have been involved in some things that we're not necessarily proud of. You don't drown, right, because you fall in the water. You drown because you stay there. These are men who have got out of the water and who are beginning to take leadership roles, beginning in their families, with themselves, with their children, and in the larger community. Having said that, we want to welcome you to the show, the Men of Out and Poppin', right? And let's give our audience a big round of applause for joining us. Yeah, we appreciate you stopping. To my left and to maybe your right is Brother Eli Darius, a pop guy. I'm going to start with him and just have him briefly introduce himself and share just a little bit about how you got connected with pop and when that was, or however you want to describe it. Use your own words.
Yeah, so my name is Eliza Darius, call me Eli. And actually I was in Faribault Correctional Facility. I had been down, I had been incarcerated for nearly a decade at that point, and I had left a correctional facility that was kind of rich with educational opportunities, many of which we created ourselves. This gentleman to my left, Willie Lloyd, was really helping to curate a lot of the educational opportunities that we was having. We was just creating them.
Right.
And so then I got to Faribault Correctional Facility, and it was dry, bones. Everything dried up. And I was like, it blew my mind that sometimes I would just be sitting and watching TV, minding my own business, and something will flash across the television and it'll say, if you have a murder conviction or if you have this kind of conviction, don't sign up for college classes. And I was like, man, I was just trying to watch Planet of the Apes.
Right.
And so, like, literally we could take no classes, we could do nothing, not anger management, nothing. And so I think my level of frustration bubbled so high to the surface that Willie, who was already involved in POP, was like, brother, why ain't you just signing up for Power of People?
Right.
And I was like, Power of what?
Right.
It's a Power of People.
Right.
I've never heard of it. And so, I had signed up.
What year was that, you think?
This was 2000 and I would say 8. That sound right? About 2008.
Yeah.
That was when I came to Faribault Correctional Facility and started experiencing the stark deficit of nothingness. And so when I signed up for the class, I'll just leave it to say the rest was history.
Sure. We're so glad. My wife and I, my co-founder, Dr. Verna Cornelia Price, we're so glad that we have come to know you and love you and witness what has taken place in your life since 2008, which is how many years ago was that? 10 years?
What year is this? 28? That's a decade.
10 years ago. We've been together for 10 years. It seems longer, but 10 years is a... Yeah, it seems longer. It just seems longer.
Oh, wow.
But we've been together a long time, and we're glad to have you on the set. We're going to get back to you, but we appreciate you sharing that. I'm going to jump over here to Anthony Flesher, or some of you know him as Vava Gaddafi. I say both of his names, and that way I'm including everybody, depending on how you know him. But he's both both of those things to us. Right. Go ahead and share.
My name is Vava Gaddafi. My given name was Anthony Fletcher by my parents. I was involved in POP when I went down to Faribault in 2007.
Wow.
I believe it was April. I know a few of the brothers down there had asked me to get involved because that's what the kind of way I was moving in as well. So I got involved real quickly, with the program, and by August of 2007 I was in the class.
Yeah.
So it was quickly, and from that point it's been overwhelming, and it's been exciting.
Yeah.
It's been enthusiastic, and I've been moving forward.
Right.
On everything parts of my life, so it's been really motivating, especially even for family members.
Sure.
Just to see that the language that I speak is different from the past.
Right. Give us an example of what you mean by that.
The language that I speak is about being proactive and being positive about things that you see. It's not the end of the world.
Right.
We can move past it, and the power lays within ourselves. We have to go to the core of the matter and bring that thing out.
Right.
To be able to know how much power we have. Don't know one person have more power than anyone else. You have the same power that the president has.
That's right.
The vice president has, and the teacher and the social worker. You have that same power. It's just about getting it out of you and exploiting that and putting it forward. So that was a big piece.
That's a powerful point he made right there. We could get into that and stay for the whole hour just talking about the exploring your personal power. If you just tuned in, we are the Power of People Personal Development and Leadership Institute. If you just tuned in, we're beginning our foray into developing our own dynamic and our own narrative, vis-a-vis the television station here at MTN. We're very grateful for them. And then if you're a young man and you're listening right now, all of the men that are sitting on the stage with me tonight have experienced incarceration. This is what we're talking about. And if you're a young man, you somehow believe that you have to go to jail to prove yourself as a man. We just want to tell you nothing could be further from the truth, and that what Anthony just shared about you having power is critical. The question, though, is, are you man enough to go after your own personal power on your own and not be foolish enough to allow a crew of going nowhere individuals to take you with them? But we're going to park that point for a minute while we go on over here and talk to our good brother, Willie Lloyd. Will, what's up?
Hey, well, again, I'm Willie Lloyd Jr.
Yes, sir.
All right. And I met Pops in 2007. So I'm sitting in Stillwater prison, and I'm getting these letters from my friend Vavad and Richard McLemore, who is not here.
Yeah.
And they're telling me, man, when you come down here to Faribault, man, you got to sign up for Power People. I mean, I'm all the way in Stillwater prison, but I'm getting these, they can't wait until I get down there and tell me. They telling me now while I'm at Stillwater, right? You know what I mean? So when I get down there, of course, I wasn't there for 48 hours, and I'm already on the list. They don't work that out already, so I'm already on the list. And so then, of course, like everybody else, I meet Pops, and the first thing that really struck me was the language piece, because he was big on causing us to see how words can shape our whole life, and it started there. So the language was very important. He helped me to see that the kind of language I use can help to create for me a pictorial vision of the kind of life that I want to live.
Right.
And so it started there, man. It started there, and then of course it went from there to again, the language. We have this phrase that we call as, we all know, the good life, right? And, just to be clear and upfront about it, the good life is not about living a perfect life. That's not what it is. For me, personally, Pops helped me to see that the good life is about me operating in my sanity, my sane mind, and being sober. And living my life in such a way that it yields for me a certain degree of happiness, joy, and a peace of mind, right? And we call that the good life.
Yes, sir.
Right.
And if we do it enough, right, we have demonstrated a degree of success in living the good life.
Yeah.
Now, this was huge for me because, sometimes it's easy to get bored with doing the same thing over and over again, But knowing what the good life is, being able to define it, right, then I knew that, going to work every day, doing something that I'm passionate about, coming back home, right, contributing to the community is what the good life is.
Well, that's good. Let me give him some dap right
and
there.
And we can go on about that, man. But
I think you're on to it. Hey, good life on 3, 1, 2, 3.
Good life.
Yeah, we like that, and I like that you brought that up, and it really gets me excited to hear you all explain that.
Good life. We out here living. We out and popping.
Out and popping, and there is a good life, and in spite of the political dynamics and all of the vicissitudes of life that I find it could be challenging, and people that don't share your opinion, or people who like you and people who don't, you still have the decision to make, and the decision is yours.
Yes, sir.
Yes, right.
Will you live a good life or not? And the idea that Will just shared with us in some ways is that you have that choice. And that's what we want you to think about as you begin to hear our testimonies and our struggles that maybe reflect those that you have. We're going to go over here to Mr. Washington now to see what he got to say. Go ahead and introduce yourself, sir.
Okay, I'm Calvin Washington, and I learned about the power of people, and as I got into it, I find myself being around men that's going forward, and I found myself saying, well, okay, since I got in this group, there was some things that changed about me, gave me a chance to look at myself and find my personal power, as he say, is about yourself and learning how to be able to come out of your negative so you can be able to get into positive. And I learned that through the 4 different kinds of people.
Right.
Which is, there's adders, multipliers, and dividers.
And subtractors.
And subtractors. My life had been into the subtracting life, and as I got to know this group, as I got to know Brother Shane Price, it lifts my spirit up to know that I can have the good life in my life.
Yes, sir.
And as I come along, these guys here, there's a lot of support. We believe in helping one another to pull ourselves out of the downfall when we're going through. And since I've been in this program, I found out that I do have personal power that I taps into to get myself started. I come to these groups because I need the power of people. I never understood how to hang out with men's.
Right.
My life was caught up in negative, but today I feel better because when I came to this group, it gave me a chance to realize that Calvin is precious, lovable, and a very decent person. So now that
Let's give him something. Let's give him something on that. Yeah, there you go.
And I appreciate this group because it gave me a chance to save myself.
Yes, sir.
My goodness.
We don't know.
You know, that's good. We have a motto. Eliza was just getting ready to share, but we'll share with you. We are the help
That
we've been waiting for.
And
Nobody
ain't
else is coming. You need to think about that if you're watching. You are your best help. Help is already there. You're right there, right? And Calvin, I just appreciate the what she was sharing, and let me tell you why. Calvin is in the process of trying to reconnect with his daughter. Now she's down south. I hope you don't mind me sharing this, because many of us experience that separation, you know, and maybe for good reason at the time, but there's also the comeback. How do we circle back and get into our children's lives in a positive way to help impact their thinking and for them to know they are loved, they are valuable, they are important, they are valuable and they are powerful, and they're your children. And so the group has, just so you all know, the group has helped send Calvin down to Louisiana once or twice to see his daughter and reconnect. And I just want to look you in your face and tell you, I admire that man, that you're not leaving your daughter behind.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, I appreciate that about you.
Yes, sir.
And so keep on doing that, and we're going to keep on trying to support that and help you get to your next level.
Thank you.
But I'm opening it up now in a way just for y'all to jump in and chime in about this conversation as you go. Remembering now that young people are watching, and then some of our peers are also watching, whom you might know and who we might be able to impact both out and pop in, and or people who are yet to come out. Yeah. So go ahead and holler back if you would.
Yeah, so I do want to say something to any of the individuals who are still inside of those correctional facilities. And that's first and foremost, if you have an opportunity to sign up for POP, you have to do it. It will change your life. It will change the way that you see life. It will change the way that you speak about life. And so sometimes you all may have heard us say in this past half an hour, POP. So we might refer to Shane Price's POPs. Yeah. And you might also be hearing us refer to the program as Power of People, POP. And the program, we're calling this program right here, Out and Poppin'. We just have a certain language that runs through a thread throughout everything that we do. He was talking about adders, subtractors, multipliers, dividers. We say that we are lovable, valuable, powerful, and important. That is our birthright. Like, there's a certain language that we speak, and we know one another when we see it. This information gets deep inside of us, and it becomes a part of who you are. You start to walk different, talk different, think different. And so I would just employ, if you are on the other side of that wall, one, sign up for the program. And then two, the second reason why I'm talking to those of you who are on the other side of this wall is that we have to keep this in the forefront of our minds. That time is going to end. You're coming home, right? That time will end. I know it seems like it won't end, but that time will end and you will come home. And so the only question that we should ask ourselves when we're in those situations is, now, how is this going to look on the other side of this wall?
Absolutely.
How do I want this thing to look on the other side of this wall? And so I would implore anybody on the other side of that wall, arm yourself with tools. Get as much information, as much knowledge as you can. And if you can get into POP, and we're in a lot of institutions right now.
Sure.
How many facilities?
We're in 3 right now.
We're in 3 facilities right now.
But if we're not at the institution you're in, then request it. Ask about it. Bring it up to your caseworker or to the administration.
But I would just finally say, just arm yourself. Do what you can to get yourself as many tools and as much information as you can, so that when you get out of here, you make that impact and you make them feel you. Yeah. And so sign up for POP. It will change your life.
I believe that. Go ahead.
And and we talk about personal power,
yes,
right?
Sir.
Right. And the reason why we talk about it, because it's that which we are born with. No one can take it away, right? So if we're in institutions, right, it's certain people that may have positional power
Break that down.
over you.
That's right.
Right? But you have the personal power, meaning that you can think a thought and take an action step.
Yes, sir.
You understand? So people who may have their own plans for you don't trump the plans that you have for yourself.
Ooh,
right?
that's good.
And
That's good, boy. That's good. That's good.
So and Pops help us to understand that. And this is huge because it took us out of victimhood. Right? I mean, no, you're not powerless.
Right.
Right, yes. People have positional power over you, but you're not powerless to change your life.
That's right.
Right? You have personal power.
Yes, sir.
Right?
Come on,
And
yeah.
that personal power is rooted in your birthright. Valuable, lovable, powerful, and important.
Come on now.
And if
Hold
you
on,
can
let's say birthright again.
valuable,
Yes, sir.
lovable,
Yes, sir.
powerful,
Yes, sir.
and important
Yes,
in
sir.
that order.
Yes,
right?
sir.
And if you can embrace that, right, then your thoughts will start to line up with what it is you really want out of life.
Right.
And this is why the language is so important.
Right.
Right?
Right. No, that was excellent. That was excellent. We're going to hear from you all, and just let me throw something into that.
Yeah.
The whole nuance of gathering back your druthers and your power is really in your mouth. It really has a lot to do. 99% of your situation has to do with you and your mouth. If your mouth is negative,
Yes, sir.
if you're talking about losing or you're hanging around with individuals who are habitually losers, their language will reflect that. And that reflective language, even though you may not be doing what they are doing or going where they are going, the residue, somebody say residue.
Residue.
The residue from all of that just comes tumbling down on you, and you don't realize it, but unconsciously you lose control of creating a beautiful vision for your life, and you do have that power. Go ahead.
One thing I like to say, what
Speak up, son.
Eli was talking about was about the other part of that is about the important piece is transitioning.
Okay.
I know one thing for society and people in the community that they have to be sensitive to how we transition and understand that those coming out, of course, they may have committed a crime or been the court put them in a certain location
Right.
that they had to do time.
Right.
So in that sense that they have come from under that to be able to transition back out as far as learning a lot of different things
Right.
and understanding a lot of different things, that they are getting back on the right track because they had enough of being in a different geographical location to
Right.
be able to think and get back on track,
Right.
because we was off track. To be able to see that and to understand our ploy is to come out and be successful
Yeah.
and to do the right thing. So society, I would say, to understand that and not always think that we are the worst of the worst, we are no good,
Yeah.
or not even worthy of talking about. That's not true.
Right.
So you have to understand that we have a purpose in life like everybody else.
Yes,
Yes.
sir.
Now we didn't learn from what we did,
Yes.
and we are on the move of moving forward. In that transitioning period, the other part was that that's meaningful is those still inside to break down and surrender
Yes, sir.
the false ideologies and concepts that we was given by people that didn't have our best interest.
Yes, sir.
Hold on, go deeper into
Yes,
that, brother.
sir.
So
Go deeper into
the
that.
Yes,
people that didn't have our best interest,
Yes, sir.
let's break the whole
Let's do
gang life down.
Uh-oh, come on.
Because we talking about people getting ahead. we the only one do not benefit off each other. Other people benefit off us. So in that lifestyle, you do not really benefit. The only thing you benefit is what I have received, is the penitentiary.
Right.
You know, I was lucky not to hit the grave.
Right.
And
Oh my
I
God.
praise
Oh
the
my
Lord
God.
for not hitting the grave.
Yes.
So I was able to have another chance. So
Yes,
with
sir.
the chance, I exploited that and say, man, this is an opportunity to take advantage of all opportunities to say that I am worthy.
Yes, sir.
Everything my parents, everything
sir.
my grandparents,
Yes, sir.
everything my neighbors said to me, that was true.
Yeah.
Everything is true about you.
Yeah.
Everything is true about me.
Right.
Even that 6-year-old.
Wow.
This is true about you.
Yeah.
And to go back into that and say, man, these things are true about me, and I am going to live that life. You have to desert, divorce. You have to sometimes divorce another man
Yeah. Ooh,
in
brother.
order to live
Ooh, brother.
your life,
Wow.
instead of having them having control
Right.
over you.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so with the personal power, you have personal power is that what you have over yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You know? So you have to take back your power.
That's right.
And not just give it away.
Right.
You know.
Yes, sir.
So in that, it is always keen that you pay attention to both sides and let the love part
Yeah.
overtake the hate.
Wow.
And love will always conquer hate.
Mm.
So that is the part you start loving yourself and say, who I am,
Yeah.
and say, man, I love myself. Man, if such and such, he don't love me. Joe and Steve down the street, they don't love me.
Something wrong with them.
You know.
Right, and that's amazing, man. You know, and I you know, Anthony, speaking really from your heart there, I could feel you at a really deep level. Go back and reflect on your own childhood and whatever caused you to be misled into a life. You mentioned the gang culture, whatever led you into that life. What you're talking about here today is so powerful, is that you had to rediscover your own personal power and then divorce a life that didn't have anything good for you. Yeah. And for the young people and anyone else who might be watching us on Out and Poppin', part of our goal in some ways in the long run will be able to do exactly what you just got through doing, is trying to encourage our young men and women to become all that they can possibly be. Yeah. That Wakanda is inside of you, and that you can pull that thing out by using your personal power and leadership skills, and that they're there. Somebody else jump in there. Go ahead.
I just want to piggyback on what Anthony said about reincarnating ourselves from out of prison into the society. For me, man, it was hard because I gave these people a lot of time. And as I got to know this Power of People group, they allowed me to be able to catch up with part of life that I was missing, because there's a part in there, living a good life is what I wasn't living. Right. And today, I find myself having a better outlook on the good life, because I don't want to go backwards, I'm going forward. And the ones that's in there right now incarcerated, I would encourage y'all to get into Power of the People, because of the fact, if it could change something in me, it will change something in you. And I was one of the worst. I done gave them 32 years of my life. I'm tired of doing time. I'm tired of going backwards. And with this group, you find yourself in a leadership position, as they say, over yourself, govern yourself to get better at where you're at. Mm-hmm. And I just want to let the brothers know, man, doing time is not life.
Yeah.
Time is going to be sitting there while you're there, but we got another way of looking at our time. Time is money.
Yes,
so you got to put yourself in these positions not to think about the time you've done.
Right.
Think about the money you missed out on and the life that you can get back. Right. For to be able to live a good life.
You know, and that's why when we was in incarcerated, we didn't even say we were doing time or serving time. We said we are letting time serve us. You know, the language was important to us because of because we understood that saying we're doing time is saying that we fully accept another man's vision for our life, right? Saying that we are letting time serve us is saying that we've started to exercise our personal power and seize control of our life back and start to live life for ourselves. And so that's, that's
and
big.
so, go ahead.
Now, one of the pieces that I heard out of you was in terms of like the leadership, and that's one of the things that we do here in POP is leadership development. POP is the Power of People Leadership Development Institute. For those of y'all who can't see that sign right there, and so it's actually the development of the leader within, and it starts with the class. Inside of the class, we also have the little purple book, and we have the blue book. We have another level of the book, the 30 Days book, but that's the third level. But the first two books are the most critical ones. But the leadership development piece is kind of the piece that I want to speak to the most, is because I've seen so many different brothers, right? And now sisters, because we have a group that meets every Tuesday, and for the past few months, we've actually, been having a lot of sisters.
Embrace the female.
We embrace the sisters. The sisters are coming in now, so we're not even a men's reentry group now. We are just a community
replanting
group, right? And so the leadership development piece is really exciting to me, because I just see so many of us operating at so many different levels of leadership throughout the entirety of Minnesota. And it's a real beautiful thing to watch, and we speak the same language. And because we speak the same language, we look out for one another. We are developing a movement. And now one of the things that I applaud about Pops right now is that the movement, and we've been very protective actually over our movement, but like with the advent of this video, we are actually
letting the world in.
We're actually letting the world into like this core group that we've developed over many years.
Absolutely.
We're opening it up now, and now you all are hearing the language that we speak. And as soon as these videos begin to get produced, we'll likely be breaking down very specific lessons, and then you'll understand the thinking and the theory behind the leadership development pieces and the personal empowerment pieces that we have been studying on for years. And it's a really good day. It's a really good day. So we are opening
I
this
like
up
that.
right now.
I like that. We're exposing the world to our Wakanda. Right. We're letting you in for the first time.
How
we doing this thing. But I like that.
Because we on and popping, and we got something popping out for everybody that step up to this program.
And it's true. And I love, thank you all for making that point. And so my wife and I, to speak to it and unpack it just a bit, my wife and I, we really, we didn't look too far to the left or to the right. Both of us by our own nature are hard workers, you get it? And so, the two of us together, Dr. Verna Cornelia Price is my wife and the co-founder of Power of People. We just say, let's just do the work and let the work speak for itself. And so we have been, as Brother Eli indicated, we have been after this for some time. And, we really didn't want to allow, we wanted to keep it pure and fresh, okay? And so the time has come for us, though, as we've developed this leadership piece, and each one of the men who are here on the stage with me today are leaders, and individually, and then we are collectively providing leadership for ourselves. We instruct each other. And so we just stayed busy. We stayed underground with it, low key, if you will, about what we were doing. But now, we've been at this for, I think about 13 or 14 years. and it's time.
It's time.
It's time to
Yes,
let
sir.
others come in and realize what we're doing. You might want to call us if you're watching us tonight and something that we're saying is impactful to you. You could call us at 763-535-5711 and just leave your name and a callback number or a reflection, a commentary reflection. We kind of log those in and kind of get a sense for what the impact might be on you and your household. If Richard McLemore were here, one of our pop guys who is an Ejama-placed employee extraordinaire, if he were here, to your earlier point, Vava, he would say that, remember, everybody is a criminal. Mm-hmm. We've all committed crimes. Right. Nobody out here is innocent of everything. You know, the fact of the matter is that we're all trying to become better at what it is we need to be better at, so that leader inside of us and that those goals and opportunity inside of us get the chance to come to fruition in their appointed time. You've heard it. You're hearing it now. I want you to reflect with me just a minute about what do you see in the future for the role of POP. Just open up your mind and explore on our voyeur into the world of digital media. Explore with me, if you will. What do you see as possibilities for us going forward? Anybody can jump in.
I see we saving the youth, because something is in that book that will catch their attention. And as we grow and everybody learn that, okay, there's something about this popping thing. Yeah. It's something about that if they can do something for them, which they've been incarcerated, that it would do something for the people that's in society.
Sure.
And as this book get to grow other people's, I think this thing will come as a movement, as Terrence said, get bigger, for us to be able to know that we're dapping into other people's power, dapping into their life to be able to live a good life. Even though sometimes we're in the world, we think we're living a good life, we got to go back and reflect on ourselves and see what we've done to the ones that's under us. Because sometimes people get to see stuff and they think that's what they should grow to.
Right.
But for this power of people thing, I think they'll learn to touch and learn how to be compassionate to their loved ones.
Wow.
This is what I got out of it.
You strike a chord in me. For those people, Brother Eli here just shared about the Purple Book, The Power of People, 4 kinds of people who can change your life, written by my wife, Dr. Brenda Cornelia Price. This is her right here. Ain't she fine?
Yep.
Y'all better zoom that in there.
But I just want you to know that. If the Purple Book is available to you, and so you could go out onto Amazon or to any of the other media outlets, digital media outlets that you might shop at, and purchase that book corporately, they can come in the case, and we're already in many of the high schools around the community.
Would you say the name of the book again?
The Power of People, the Little Purple Book. Well, my wife calls it the Little Purple Book that could. The Power of People, 4 kinds of people who could change your life.
Yep.
Go ahead.
Now, strange thing about that book.
Okay.
So here I am sitting minding my business in Stillwater, fighting off all the books that Willie X is trying to take back out of my cell that he gave me, because my cell was like a black hole. The books come in, but they don't go back out. Right? And just one of the books
that's a good fact to know. Yeah, right.
Never mind, the man behind the curtain. And so, one of the books that I just so happened to have borrowed for about a year from Willie, was it the Little Purple? Did I get that from you?
Yeah.
Yes,
you did.
Stillwater, okay.
Before I even came there,
to
right?
the class, wow.
And I didn't put 2 and 2 together that you and the author of that book was like, it took me a second to put the 2 and 2 together that I had read the Purple
We're
Book.
going to pray for you. Don't worry about it.
It was like, I think like a year prior, and like I had a whole lot of other. So then like it was amazing. So that Little Purple Book. So there sometimes are people who come to the class and say, man, I read that book. Because it's making its rounds, because the guys who are already in the class, they pass the book off to other people to read the book as well. And it is so phenomenal.
Right.
One of the things I would caution, and it's the same caution that you always give, is that we want to be careful that we don't start running around after reading the book and start trying to define other people's reality and say, you're a subtractor and you're a subtractor.
Yeah.
So as we do get those books,
Right.
we do want to be mindful of our own words and our own language and what we are saying over other people. The book is going to show us who is what inside of our lives, but not for us to turn around and to try to fault find in them, but it's to help us get tools and techniques to be able to use strategies to overcome destroying our own life.
Well, that was
Yeah.
excellent.
Yeah.
I just want to pop in there what he said about that little purple book. You don't have to really even tell nobody nothing. They'll see the reflection off of you about that book.
They'll be like,
That
"What you
book is so
reading on?"
powerful that it learns to have you with,
Right.
I would say, patient.
Yeah.
Wow.
And as you get patient, other people get a little jealous of that patience because they don't understand that this book
Right.
is not to criticize
bitty little
nobody.
book.
Right,
It's
right.
about you personally and how you can be able to back up
Yes,
and walk
sir.
in the light.
Come on, Anthony, jump in there.
I was just thinking about excellence and also the part that plays about the book and particularly the people, the creators of this, is about restoring lives. The book is about recapturing your life back.
I got
Oh,
it.
that's powerful.
So, as our silent cry
Which is
begins to go out to the universe,
yes, sir.
we said that we want to return back to how our parents raised us, how our grandparents raised us, how our communities raised us. We want to return back to that. So it's about capturing the people, capturing the person, how we were supposed to be and how we got off course. So this is a book that recaptures you and have you tune into the things that we shouldn't have been listening to,
Oh, man. Boy, that's
but
so good.
have us retune into the things that was important and are important right now,
Wow.
that we
Today.
can be able
Bad
to
Baba, they
sort
cut it out.
that thing out
Yeah.
and say, man,
Look
this
at
is crystal clear.
Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
I can't get no clearer
No,
than
sir.
this. And I have to move on this thing
Come on.
because it's important to my life.
Yeah.
And my life is valuable, lovable, powerful, and important.
Yeah.
And I have to believe that
Right.
in order to move forward.
To the next level. Come on, Will, jump in.
And that's just a tidbit
Right.
into the lessons,
beautiful.
actually into his insight of the lessons.
Yeah.
But the lessons will come in later sessions.
yes,
so
right.
stay tuned.
Stay tuned.
Right?
Right.
But you know, what I would like to see, well, I would like to see two things. First, I would like to see perhaps maybe on the state level and a Department of Correctional level acknowledge the amazing work that Power of People Personal Development Leadership Institute has been doing
Wow.
for years
big, that's
and
big.
never really giving them no credit for it, even though it's been single-handedly responsible for helping to really stabilize institutions, because a lot of times the guys who participate in the group are men who have a lot of time and in prison who are looked up to
Right.
by other offenders.
Yes, sir.
So-called, yeah.
And so they see how we have been transformed, and then it just have a positive impact throughout the whole prison.
Wow.
You know, it's no assaults and this and that. I mean, everything has been drastically reduced just because of the advent of Power of people being present in that institution. So
They know who the student teachers are.
right, they know, right. So I would just like to see POP embraced more by Department of Correction, since they're supposed to be in the business of rehabilitation. I would like to see them make good on that.
Right.
So that's one thing. Now, this is what they're doing. Now, the second thing is what I would like to see for us to continue to do, because we've been with
Yes,
each
sir.
other,
Yes, sir.
you know,
That's right.
and whether they come or not,
Right.
we still moving.
Yes, sir.
Right? So,
right.
So we're only in like the first, second generation out and popping. But because our personal power, because we have so fully embraced that, we have already achieved great things in the community. Many of us are in leadership positions. I mean, this is unheard of, right? And it's going to only keep getting better. So what I would like to see us do is bring our brain trust together and start to build out, as far as the type of services that we can extend to provide some shade to areas like, with housing and employment, obviously, things of that nature, like that. I would just like to see us kind of continue to mentor and just grow it out, because we're doing some unbelievable things, individually, right? But to kind of, pour that brain trust together, we could do some amazing things.
Wow, and that's a great point, and I just certainly appreciate that, Will, and I mean, it touches my heart as I hear you articulate those things. Still, we continue, and still we persevere. We're not tired. We're not thinking about quitting. We're in this to win it, and some of the winners are on the stage in this studio talking with us right now. Not just the ones you see, but those individuals that you don't see who are helping to bring this show to you are also men of Out and Popping, who you will get a chance to meet on later occasions. And incidentally, because we are all African American here tonight, I don't want you, the viewer, to be confused that we are African American only. We have served men in the past 4 and now 3 of the Minnesota State Correctional Facilities of all nationalities, and we have served our white men, our Native men, we have served our Asian men, we have served our Native men, and we have done a good job with them, and we're grateful for that. And as time goes by, you'll get a chance really to meet the broader pop body in some ways, which I think is what Will was kind of talking about. But on tonight, we've taken this particular body because these men have been with us for such a long time. I want to acknowledge Terrence Peaches, and I want to also acknowledge Wayne Cummins, who are in the studio making this thing happen, and we appreciate you all and the walk that you are walking, stepping into your leadership as well.
That's right.
And so as we begin to wind down here in these last few minutes on our inaugural show, and it's just feeling real good to me. I want you to know that. I just want us to go around with closing remarks. Just speak from your heart about what you might want somebody else to think, what you think. But we'll go around and start with you, Brother Eli, and just kind of close us up, if you will.
Okay. Just in terms of what I would want to see too, I want to drop a couple pieces to that before I close. I would want to see us continue to capture more of the lessons, the very specific lessons, because Each time you've taught every class, it's always been different, right? And some of those lessons are so critical. Like, they stay with me now. When I'm on stages, I'm iterating those to the shadow life and all of that. Like, I'm still speaking those same lessons because they touch me so deeply.
Right.
So one of the things that I would like to see is just us to have an opportunity to perhaps capture, even if it's in a setting like this, to just capture some of those lessons, so that, because you've already said it, when certain people get out, you're going to retire, and so we understand that. But for us to be able to capture some of those lessons, I think will have a great value to us as a group, our city, the state, the nation. I think it's going to be really critical for us to capture those lessons that you have to impart. That's one of the things that I would want to see. And then I would want to see us really begin to focus on our marketing and our strategic development to really get this out more, to touch more people, because they have a right to get this information, because it's life changing and life affirming. So those are kind of the two
That's
things.
amazing. Relevant to the comment you just made quickly, my role as we've been serving inside of prisons, and we're probably serving inside of the prisons a few more years. Our hope is that we're able to place a team in each one of the prisons who is receptive to POP, and that team will continue the work. And one of the lessons that I've learned is that good leadership grooms the next level and the incoming leaders. And so it's incumbent upon me, and I think as your comment indicates, is to begin to replace you through reciprocity, put you back in the place that you came from, like Paul, who persecuted the Christians, not to his feet, but heard the word and went back where he came from and began to be a redeemer. This is the same strategy that I see for you all. Will, what would you have as a closing comment? We got 2 minutes.
Well, I just, I've served over 20 years in prison. And, I know, we talk about this personal power thing, but it's really big. And we haven't really gotten into it deeply yet. But suffice to say that at first, when I was embracing what somebody else who don't have thought about me, who didn't have my best interest at heart, I was going backwards. When I thought I was, gang banger and all this other stuff, I was going backwards. Now, when I started to embrace my personal power, right, which means, and starting to allow my mind to revolve around language,
Yes, sir.
that cater to what I can be instead of what I was. This is when I started to make progress. Now, I was told by influential people that I would never see the other side of a prison fence. I was told that, but because of my personal power and me taking control of my life, I stand before you now.
Wow, that's
good. That's good.
We have 1 minute, so you got to cut your comment down very quickly.
All right. I got to go back to
1 minute, son.
digging in my personal power. That book is powerful.
Yeah.
That's all I want you to know. Try it. You don't have to buy it. Just try it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
For me personally, it's about loving.
Yeah.
Love conquers all, and to be able to understand really what love is. It was a point in time that I wasn't able to cry, and I find myself crying all the time.
Yes, sir.
Because that other point that I was pretending to be didn't allow me to cry, but the loves creeped in and allowed me to understand and cry, because this is who I am.
Yes, sir.
So
Let me grab you there. Love creeped in. Somebody say love creeped in.
Love creeped in.
Yeah, and we're so glad it did. We want to thank you this evening for joining us here at Out and Poppin'. This is our inaugural show, and so we're excited about it. We're excited about the possibilities. You're going to get a chance to meet a lot of us as time goes by. We'll be inviting leaders in this field to come in and say hi to you and meet you. But for now, we want to just sign out to you and say, be strong and be powerful. And thank you for watching.
And on and popping.
It's on and popping. All right, come on. Yeah. Wow. Man, that was great. Good job, son. Good job. Wow. Knocked it out of the pizza we used to say back in my day. You know, that was that was so good. I don't know about that. You know, but I tell you what, we could actually have done another show. We would have kept right on going, you know, in another setting, did another show and then canned it, you get it, and then you want to drop a, you know, and so I think we'll just use this as a teaching tool, you get it, and we'll get Wayne to make hard copies of just all of it, so you have a copy. Then reflect on it. Then you get some ideas about how we can do it better and or whatever. And for right now, I want to have